noticed, with people who really have this natural inclination toward healing or being of service to others, there's typically some kind of either illness or some kind of health or wellness issue or some kind of, panic, anxiety, something that comes like a dark night of the soul that launches them on their journey. And I feel like that archetypal energy, that healer energy, we have these experiences because it teaches us to have a lot of compassion. It really teaches us what it feels like to be incongruent with who you are and what you want to be doing. And it really helps us in our work.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another beautiful episode of Witchy Wellness Radio. Again, I am your host, Lauren Chalantani, and this is a show you learn how your body and emotions are not in the way, they are leading the way. And today we are talking with the beautiful Erika Alaura. She is an intuitive healer and channel who has helped countless women erase rooted beliefs or traumatic experiences, holding them back and realize their life's purpose. She runs a popular online membership community for women who wish to receive healing and routinely clear limiting beliefs called the womb. And she also helps many teachers in the personal growth industry when they become stuck or blocked, when their normal tools just don't seem to work. I'm sure a lot of us can relate to that. She was born and raised in northern Vermont. Erika was a psychic child who also started studying metaphysics at the age of 13 and offering tarot readings professionally at 15. As a healer, she has lived and worked in all over the US as well as in New Zealand and went from being broke and homeless to manifesting her 6-figure healing practice. Erika's trained and accredited in psychic channeling, spiritual response therapy, past life clearing, theta healing, and is also a certified angel intuitive. Welcome to the show, Erika. There's so much I want to ask just from that bio at 15. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, thank you. It's so great to be here. I'm so excited to be speaking with you today.
Me too. Me too. I think I love connecting with such beautiful souls that just come into my life to be able to come on this podcast and get to know you and your energy. And it's like I love hearing everybody's heroine's journey of how they got into this work, but it sounds like for you, this started earlier in life, right? Right after puberty, 15 years old, just jumping on in. So give us, the abridged version, but what was that process like from going to that point in your life to apparently somewhere in the middle, homeless, to now, right? There's some leaps here. The 6-figure beautiful business helping people.
It was a twisty path for sure. So I really did feel very drawn to metaphysics, psychics, astrology, runes, tarot, all of these things when I was around 12, 13 years old and started to study, read books. One of the pivotal books that I read at that time is called All Women Are Healers by Diane Stein. And it sort of really opened my mind that there's this thing that people can do, and it's a possibility. And as I moved through school and as I did tarot readings and as I continued to do tarot readings through college, what happened for me is actually I got really frustrated with the work, because when you work with someone over a long period of time, a year, 3 years, 5 years. Some people I had been doing readings for 7 years. They really stuck with me. What you notice is that people have patterns that tend to play out in their life. So it'll be, a new boyfriend, but it's like the same guy. Or they'll move to a new place, but the same types of things start happening that happened in their last location. And so I knew when I was doing readings that I was bringing through really good information, but I felt like I wasn't affecting enough of a change. And so I kind of gave it up, really. I thought, all right, I'm an adult now. I have to be out in the world. I need to get a real job, quote unquote, real job. And I started to work in corporate environments. And that was actually very purposeful. And it was actually, when I look back on it, I realized that there were a lot of great skills that I learned through being in those types of environments. However, wherever I went, people would just start asking me for my opinion about their life, or let me run something by you. Tell me what you get intuitively. So I feel like when this is your path, you can't avoid it if you try. It's like all roads keep leading to the same place. And that's really what happened for me. However, what really nudged me onto the path of healing was I started getting panic attacks. So I'm working in a corporate environment downtown Boston in the financial district with my high heels and my business suit. And I would be on the train in the morning in the subway, and I would start to get panic attacks, and I'd have to get off the train and sit by the side of the platform and collect myself. And it was the message that you're not doing what you're here to do. You're not on the right path right now. And so I eventually went on vacation, went to Florida on vacation, visited my mom, and woke up one morning and heard this voice, this message in my head: you have to go to this metaphysical bookstore. You have to go. You have to go today. You have to go right now. So I said, okay, Mom, let's go. We're going to go to this metaphysical bookstore. I'd never been there. I just got the feeling this is the place I have to go. And I walked in. They were doing this big open house. They had all these healers there. They were doing this beautiful little festival. And I walked in, and there was a woman standing maybe 6 feet in from the front door. I walked right up to her, started to have a conversation with her, took her card. And it wasn't until a year later, I went back to Florida and actually did a session with her. And I felt so different. I felt so altered. I actually felt like someone changed my physical vision. My physical vision felt clearer. And I thought right there, this is the work that I'm interested in. This is the work that I want to do, because it was moving energy, clearing programs, clearing those patterns that I mentioned earlier that I saw coming up with my tarot clients. And so I thought, this is actually affecting a change. And I continued to work with her. I went back to Boston, still in the old job, but I continued to work with her, maybe once or twice a month for about 6 months, and then went and did a healing class with her. And that launched me on my journey of doing what I'm doing now. So it has been an interesting journey for sure. Interesting path.
I had to laugh because that's what launched me on my journey too, was anxiety and panic attacks going into the corporate world, and my body and spirit were like, no, this is not your path, right? And it happened for me actually during my college graduation, because everything, I've shared this multiple times on the show, but everything to that point was to be the good girl, to become that version that society, my family wanted me to be. And then it was like, okay, it's here. Now what? And then now looking back, it's like, it's because that wasn't me. I spent that whole first 20, years of my life preparing for this. It wasn't me, but that's exactly what launched me into all of this too. And it'll wake you up for sure.
Noticed, with people who really have this natural inclination toward healing or being of service to others, there's typically some kind of either illness or some kind of health or wellness issue, or some kind of, panic, anxiety, something that comes like a dark night of the soul that launches them on their journey. And I feel like that archetypal energy, that healer energy, we have these experiences because it teaches us to have a lot of compassion. It really teaches us what it feels like to be incongruent with who you are and what you want to be doing. And it really helps us in our work. We don't want to necessarily have this to be a sustained thing, but when we experience it, it helps us to have that empathy, that compassion, that understanding for people when they come to us in a state of disarray or pain or even trauma. So it's very purposeful, but I'm happy that I was able to move through it and move forward for sure.
I agree. There were many mornings I drove to work every day, and sometimes I had to pull over. Same thing. It's just,
Yeah.
it's all consuming, it's crippling, and to be able to have that experience, you're right, to hold the space for other people is so powerful. And what I have also found, and maybe this resonates with you or the listeners, is like all of that energy, having an anxiety attack or anxiety, there's a lot of energy there.
Yeah.
Just realize, like, if that's that much energy waking you up, think about if you can harness that and you actually transmute it and really learn to work with your energy, thinking how powerful you really are. And that perspective shift kind of helped me start to climb that emotional ladder out of it. Because in
Yes.
anxiety, for me, there was a lot of victimhood, right? And very low vibrational stuff too that was trying to shake up. But
Right.
once I really was like, "Oh, wow. Okay, my body is this is happening for me. Okay, cool. That's really powerful. What wait, maybe okay, maybe I am really powerful." And it kind of helped me start to gain that momentum as I started on that journey. Um Still pretty lost, but trying to find my way.
It's definitely a process. And
Yes.
when you live, when you choose to really step into your path, that's just the beginning, right? Because then once you actually step into it, sometimes the next step is you have to deprogram all of these faulty and limiting beliefs about all healers are broke, you can't make any money doing this work. It's not safe for me to be seen. So many healers, intuitives have the old witch wound or the old persecution wound where unconsciously they remember all these lifetimes where they were doing the work and they were harmed. And so there can be a lot of trepidation and blocks to actually being out there, being seen for your work. And so that's kind of like the next level of healing as you're walking the path or the journey. And I've been fortunate to get to work with a lot of different healers and coaches to help release those wounds so that they can really shine and do their work in the world.
Beautiful. And I just have to share that the witch room came up for me this morning. I actually woke up with anxiety and I was like, all right, why is like kind of working with it. I'm very familiar with healing this witch wound and I just had to really work with myself and talk with that part of me. And it's powerful when you can realize like, okay, that I have the opportunity to really heal and to love myself, that I have control over this, but also to not force anything, right? For me, it was like, okay, I know where this is coming from. I know why this is coming up. And I also know I have a choice. Do I want this? Do I want to keep repeating the subconscious belief or do I want to, start to continue to reprogram this in this very loving way? So, of course, you came on the show today because it's always, it never ceases to amaze me. The people, when everything gets scheduled, it's like, of course, because this is what we're talking about.
Yeah, always a divine timing.
Yeah, always. But I wanted to, and we talk about the subconscious a lot on here, but I wanted to hear your perspective on it. We kind of you touched a little bit on the witch wound and stuff, especially with healers, light workers who are coming here to help. You know, what are those ways that the mind really sabotages us, and how do you help people really start to tune in and address it and start to change it?
Yeah, well, the first thing to recognize is the subconscious mind is really 97% of your mind. It's really the majority. It's what will determine the actions that you take or you do not take in your life. And so your subconscious mind is always projecting ahead, trying to figure out what's going to go wrong, where am I unsafe, where am I going to get stuck, where is something bad going to happen to me. And so if we take a situation like somebody saying, I can't take this corporate life anymore. I want to study, I want to do the things that I'm really drawn to. And their mind is projecting ahead, thinking, okay, we could be broke, we could be destitute, we could lose everything. People are going to think I'm crazy. Nobody's going to understand. My family's going to think I'm nuts, right? There are all of these things that happen, but they happen in this unconscious, very quiet way. And so how that will manifest is, oh, I had the money to take the class, but now something's manifested that's draining my money. It'll be very subtle. You might not recognize it. It could be oh, I forgot to sign up and now I missed the deadline. It'll be all these really weird, subtle ways, right, that the mind will pull you off course to keep you safe, to keep you protected. And then what we do is we rationalize it and say, oh, it just wasn't meant to be, or oh, maybe that was the wrong class, or oh, maybe that was the wrong teacher. But really, it's our this unconscious mind that's trying to derail us so that we stay in the safe, known world. So I work with people a lot related to this, because when somebody comes to me for a session, they'll usually say, okay, these are the areas of my life that aren't really working, and this is what I really want to be doing, but I can't seem to get there. And the first things that we do are really have them use their body muscle tests to find out what their subconscious believes. And we look at things like, it's safe for me to be a healer. I'm allowed to be a healer. It's possible for me to be a healer. So what I've learned over the years is that your subconscious mind is kind of like a bridge to your soul records. We have the ability to call up and remember past lives, key past lives. That's why we can do that when we, have a guided meditation, or we are in a very relaxed state. We may remember some of these experiences. And so what I do with clients is we go back and we heal and resolve the unresolved emotional energies that are really still stuck in their being related to some of these past persecutions or unwanted experiences, so that they're not dragging that around with them anymore, unconsciously projecting them onto what they want to do now. And it's not a long, arduous work. It just takes focus, and it just takes honesty, and it takes clarity about what you really want. Because once we define what we want, and we release the blocks to it, things actually move really smoothly. So it doesn't have to be this big, long, 5-year, 7-year process. It's just getting clear. And so that's usually for people where it's the most tricky. People have a difficulty determining or deciding what they really want. A lot of times they'll feel like, well, I know what I want, but I don't think I can really have that. So I'm just going to choose something else that seems more possible, more practical. So a big initial step is getting really honest with yourself about what you want, because you can actually have it and create it. It's just getting out of your own way, really. That's the work.
Yeah, I noticed that in myself, especially the beginning of this journey, or when, you're trying to stay in the known and not jump into the unknown. It's like, okay, no, I don't want to feel like this. I know I don't want XYZ in my life, but what do I really want? Like that scary big dream. Sometimes it's hard to, I guess, focus on, because of what you just said. It's because it's like, well, yeah, it's not really possible, or whatever beliefs are coming up around it. And the more you allow yourself to open up to the possibility, and for me, it's just like the emotions of it. Like how do I want to feel? And that's really helped me expand my own awareness on my own subconscious, the possibility of accepting more love, more groundedness, more abundance, whatever you want it to be. How does that feel in your body? And that's been so much of my process too, is working with the subconscious. But then this thing that we walk around this lifetime with is like, we feel it all, right? And how do we actually integrate that into our bodies? And I love what you said of tuning into, your past life, or the Akashic record of maybe some other, like, which wound stuff's coming up. And I know for me, that's totally coming up. And, healing through other traumas in my life, lower chakra stuff, sacral stuff, root stuff, it's like, I would be doing this healing work, and it's like, I feel like I had some type of a trauma, but I didn't this lifetime. And it's like, I started on trying, where did this happen? And I'm like, well, maybe it's a past life, blah, 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 da, 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 da. And I'm like, okay, even if I don't know where this trauma originated from, it doesn't mean I can't heal it. I can't love this. I can't learn to, embody the wisdom underneath it. So for me, there's this huge balance, but I love the work that you do, is because it gives you the power. It's not I'm victim to this past life. It's let's go to the subconscious root, no matter where it came from, in order to clear and to heal and to embody more of who we really, really are. So very long-winded response there, but I know we talked off air about maybe doing a mini clearing for the audience on Witchy Wellness Radio. I feel like this could be a perfect opportunity maybe for you to tune in, see what's coming up here.
That's great. I love it.
Yeah.
What I'm going to do, so for the audience, I am working with a pendulum and a bunch of charts. And what I'm going to do is start with a little prayer, connect in. I'm going to connect to the group consciousness of your audience, Lauren. And we're going to see what's coming up for everybody, what needs to be released. So this is just a little mini clearing. So I'm just going to close my eyes for a moment, just take a breath. So I would like to call upon and invoke or bring forth the very highest vibration of source energy, which is love, to step into this clearing for Lauren's audience, past, present, future. I'd like to ask that all of the beings who are working with us come forward with ease, that any negative or limiting themes, challenges, choices, or programs that need to be cleared easily and effortlessly. And so it is. So first thing I want to do is connect my high self committee, or the primary group of beings working with me, with listeners' high self committees. And I want to know if I'm working with myself, listeners, high self, or both. Both. Does anyone have blocks to receiving or benefiting from this healing? They do. So let's look at what everyone's holding. There's an energy of avoidance of self, despair, failure, energies of paranoia, hardship, disappointment held on self because of judgment. And there's an energy here of resentment held on self relative to life meaning and purpose. So some of you in the audience have a block here to really stepping into alignment with your purpose, your life meaning. And so what's the primary energy blocking that? It's all related to fear and anxiety. So let's go ahead and release this for everyone who's listening. And then I want to know one more time, anybody else have blocks to receiving or benefiting? No. So if we look at the group consciousness of this audience, I want to ask how many lifetimes we're looking at where these listeners believe they were hurt, harmed, killed, persecuted for doing their work in the world. So we're talking about hundreds of thousands of lifetimes coming up. The unresolved emotional energy that everyone is holding from these experiences is exhaustion, avoidance, energies of depression, suffering, programs of rejection of self, and overwhelm. In fact, we're going to take that a step further because there are some vows, contracts, oaths, agreements, or obligations that some of you are holding to reject yourself, so you never step on that pathway again, and you avoid any type of possibility of harm or persecution. So what I want to know is this enough to clear and resolve the lifetimes, the programs, all of the energies? Let's do it now. If we look at this theme of the witch wound, what do we really need to clear or resolve for this audience? I want to clear everyone's blocks to supportiveness, clear your blocks to freedom in this life, and clear blocks to confidence. So what I'm hearing is we just want to take a little step back, because a lot of you have a negative association with being in a physical body in the first place. And then there's a negative association with being on this planet. So listeners, positive toward being in a physical body is 0. Negative is over 100. So what is everyone holding on being in a body? Panic, avoidance, helplessness, blame, insanity, exhaustion, hardship, energies of self-limitation, self-sabotage, and defeat. So let's release this. So one of the things that's really important from my perspective in healing is to really bring my clients into alignment with this understanding that we're not here to suffer and struggle. We're not here to go through more endless hardship. We're here to get into alignment with our highest expression, and that we can have a joyful time doing that. So let's just download everyone with the highest perspective, understanding, definition of what it is to be in a physical body. And we're going to bring in the positive soul quality of determination, comfort, health, creativity, peace, and love of self. And what I'm also hearing to do is I want to activate everyone's youth and vitality chromosomes. To what degree is that done? Anything else we need to look at? And so any place else where anyone is holding a block to enjoying being connected to loving their physical body. And so everyone's positive toward being on this planet is 0 and negative is over 100. So let's look at what you're holding on being on this planet. Avoidance, 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 helplessness, energies of persecution, rejection, rage, brutality, spiritual suicide. So some of you believe that being on this planet is actually a punishment. And so I want to clear and resolve that with ease. What else am I clearing related to that? Let's clear energies of avoidance of other people, avoidance of the planet. Let's clear addictions to being isolated. And so this is sometimes how people cope when they're running these unconscious beliefs. They'll stay very isolated. They'll say, oh, I'm just an introvert. I don't really like to be around a lot of people. But actually what's going on is there's a feeling of, I don't belong here. I'm not really safe here. I'm 3 steps away from people discovering who I really am, and they're going to come to my door with pitchforks and torches. And so we want to bring in the understanding that that's not where you are any longer. You don't have to experience that. And so what do we need to bring in for everyone related to being on this planet? Let's bring in freedom. Let's bring in unconditional love, relaxation, order, energies of supportiveness and wisdom. So if we look at this group consciousness now, they're positive toward being in a physical body is 100%, negative is 0. Positive toward this planet is 100%, negative is 0. The last thing I want to look at is where does everyone believe that they're here alone without any spiritual support? There's a block here to feeling empowered. There's a block to supportiveness. There's a block to the positive expression of playfulness in your life, love, listening, and energies of miracles. So let's clear and release all of these blocks. And let's download everyone's being with all information, wisdom, light, and understanding regarding how to receive support, how to acknowledge or know that they're being supported. And so let's download the positive expression of success, trusting yourself, trusting your non-physical team, and let's bring in unconditional love. Is there anything else that this group needs? Is there anything more to do? So let me apply the mop-up list. Let's clear the 9 stacks of additional charts that are in spirit, that are not in the physical. And I just want to thank everyone who is working with us, bringing forth light, releasing any darkness, limitation, or fear. And so it is. There we go.
Oh, beautiful. Oh my gosh. I'm just sitting back here, just taking it all in. Thank you so much, Eric. That was, yeah. And of course, a lot of the programs that I have been coming up for me, of course, because my listeners resonate, is what we cleared and what we need to embody. And it's like the past 2 years, like all of that is what I've been working on. I'm like, every single thing. And it never ceases to amaze me because we're all connected, right? It's in all divine timing. So thank you for offering that to all of us today, because I know it's going to benefit so many people listening.
Oh, my pleasure. It's so great to release just even those basic blocks when there's an internal resistance to even being here in the first place. How are you going to create with ease, right? There's always going to be this feeling. It's like, pulling, teeth. It's like so hard. When we want to move all of that out of the way, it's like we want to plow the road ahead of you so you can experience more ease, more joy. It doesn't have to be so difficult.
Hey, freaking man. I mean, if that's not just like, yeah, end the show there, mic drop. It does not have to be so difficult. It can be, I mean, like my mantra that I've had on a post-it note for years is, this is easy, this is simple, and this is fun. Just every area of my life. It can be simple, easy, and fun. And
Right.
It's our choice. But
Yeah.
thank you I feel so much better. I'm like, okay, get back to focus in my body now, Lauren. Interview mode here. So I wanted to hear, we've got about 10-15 minutes left of the show. I wanted to talk more about your community called The Womb, which, first of all, love that name.
Thank you.
Um, I briefly, described it in your intro, your bio. What all can people expect out of this beautiful community? What does it entail, etc.?
So the womb came to me, the idea for the womb came to me back when I was working in the corporate world, because I would go to work and I think my poor employers, right? That my first probably 2-3 hours of the day was just going online and reading any channeled information, any astrology information, anything I could find about sort of like what's going on now. And I always wanted to have a space for people to kind of come and hang out and feel like they're receiving something. So what we do in the womb is I do a weekly energy clearing for the group, just kind of like what I did now, but longer. And then every full moon, we do a full moon live clearing on Zoom. So again, I talk about the astrology of what's going on at the time, the influences that we're working with, and then I create a clearing for everyone based on those themes. And then we also have what are called daily downloads. So I do these little downloads for people daily where we're helping to reprogram your subconscious mind. And so they have access to the full library of all of those daily downloads, all of the current and past clearings. I have a client recently who said, I'm loving the womb so much because what I do is I go on into the database of all the clearings you've done. And I just use my intuition and I just blindly pick one. And whenever I listen to it, I find that it's exactly what I needed for the day. So it's just meant to be there to really support everyone with clearing work, particularly for people who feel like, maybe they can't afford to work with me as much as they'd like. They have another resource there to move energy. And that's what it's all about.
I mean, you could just by the name, The Womb, like just how supportive and loving and connected to source, like that just feels for me, just hearing that name. It just,
Yeah,
beautiful, beautiful,
that's
beautiful.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
the intention for sure.
Was there anything else you feel called to talk about? I know we've kind of talked a lot about subconscious clearing. Was there anything you feel called to talk about?
Yeah, what I just wanted to mention was, from the perspective of spiritual healing, 99% of what you're experiencing now is a continuation of themes of what you've experienced previously. So all the people in your life, we call this cast of characters in your life, everyone that's there, you've known them before, you've met them before, you're coming back together. And so, a lot of the work that I do with people is we'll look at these experiences that maybe you would feel are limiting or unwanted in some way. And what we really want to do is look at what is it that you're learning from that. So, let's take an experience where you are doing work that you can't stand and you're in a career and you think, I don't know if I could do another month of this. I really need to make a change. I really want to do something, that's different or that's more in alignment with my soul's calling. What we want to look at is, does your subconscious mind believe that it's even safe for you to do that? Do you believe that you're allowed to make a change? But sometimes some of the other things that can come up for people is sometimes you can have soul agreements with people that you work with to stay with them. So some of the things that I'll do in a session is look at, do you have old vows, contracts, agreements, or oaths to stay connected to the people that you're working with now? Because on some level, you've been a healer for them many times before. And unbeknownst to you, you're actually holding space for them. Some of the other things that can block people in moving forward and being successful is that we can have memories of old vows of poverty. We can still be holding vows of poverty, vows of austerity. if you're having trouble with dating, you may still be holding old vows of chastity or old vows of celibacy, believe it or not. You may also, on some level, believe that you're actually married to God, which comes from old lifetimes where you were in spiritual service. So that can be another thing that I release for people, especially when somebody shows up and they say, I haven't dated for like 5 years. I feel like it's the desert out there. I can't seem to connect with anyone. Usually there will be a subconscious belief that they're already married, or they're still married to a past partner, even if they were never married. So your soul, your subconscious mind can believe that you're actually still married to your ex. And so therefore you're not available to date. And so you'll never seem to find anyone. So these old beliefs or these subconscious beliefs connected to our past lives have a very dramatic impact on what we'll even perceive is available to us. It really can create a massive shift in our point of attraction when we release that stuff. It's amazing. And, it works. It's kind of continuous, because I'll tell you, in my own experience, that I had so many blocks to being seen for my work. It took over a year to get my first website up. And, it wasn't obvious, right? Because what happened was I chose the web designer who couldn't get their act together. And so it didn't feel like it was me. It felt like it was her, but it really was a perfect match to my own blocks. And so as I moved forward and I became more successful and my practice grew, then what happens is, you hit your own glass ceiling. So you'll hit these moments where you're breaking through some of your own goals, and you'll have this moment, it feels like a little step backwards. So for example, I had an experience where I did a podcast and I got booked like 4 months out. And that was, of course, that's a wonderful thing, right? Every business owner would want to be booked out that way. However, what happened for me was it brought up all this anxiety. It was like, oh my gosh, all these people are waiting. Some of them are waiting 2 months, 3 months. And I ended up getting sick. And it was like this health crash, right? Because I had all these beliefs that were bubbling up about what it meant to keep people waiting, or what it meant to be booked out. You would have thought that everyone was physically lined up outside my front door waiting to meet with me. And I had all this pressure, but that's what it felt like energetically. So I had to do a lot of my own belief work. So once you start down the road of working with and identifying and releasing limiting beliefs, it really opens your eyes to how much is actually there that you're unaware of. And there are ways for you to identify that. So when I teach my clients how to muscle test their beliefs, it's like, you have this new skill. You have the keys to the castle now. So you can find out what you're really believing about something and what's really going on. So you don't have to guess. You don't have to, be sitting there wondering. You can really find out, and then we can change it so that you're actually in alignment with your highest good. And that's really the point. So I just wanted to throw that out there as well, because we're very complicated and complex. And so when you have the ability to go in and examine all of this unseen stuff, it's so liberating and empowering. And that's what I love about it.
Ah, beautiful. Thank you for sharing all of that. And the theme of my show and my mission is really your body is leading the way. And that's another way to empower you, muscle testing. I mean, I was just thinking, my friend who's a chiropractor, that's what he does too, as he's adjusting you too, and it's like just continue to muscle test. I remember when I first learned about it, and my friend showed me it, and he handed me, I held a bag of sugar, and then I held like a little box of strawberries, and you can actually test like what is better for your, like, it was amazed me. Just instantly your body it'll tell you. It's always leading the way. Always, always, always.
Such an amazing resource.
Yeah.
And it's for us, never against us.
Yeah.
So it's a phenomenal thing to integrate and include in your healing and really work with. Yeah, I love that. Love that.
Beautiful. Well, thank you so much, Erica, for coming on today and shining your beautiful light, your story, and that wonderful clearing that I know I'm gonna have to re-listen to as well to integrate even more. But thank you so much. And we close the show out the same way every week. How may we, as the listeners, a huge act of gratitude, be of service for you in return today?
You know, what would be wonderful is if everyone today, when you're listening to this, you just decide that you're going to be kind and gentle and loving towards yourself today. That would be a wonderful gift. I would love that. Just make that decision and take an action to be kind, loving, and gentle with yourself today.
And of course, because my intention of today was, how can I learn to love myself more today? That was my intention for myself, just open ended. So this is just divine alignment all around today with you, Erica. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. It was such an honor to have you on today.
Well, thank you. It was such a pleasure to be here. And thanks to everyone for listening and receiving, clearing.